It's fun to stay at the YMCA. Oh, what's up, guys? Rose the Black Hat here, coming at you with a video on how to counter every killer in the game. This is going to be a long one, so if you want to skip to an individual killer, it's all going to be chapterized. You can scroll through and find whoever you want. If you want to watch the whole thing, grab a snack, go to sleep, whatever wets your whistle, and let's get into it. Like, subscribe, and comment as it helps me, and I can help you by giving you videos on how to counter every killer. So it's a win-win. Number one, the Trapper. Before working on a gen, look around at all nearby windows and pallets. Make sure they're safe so that you have somewhere to run. Keep track of where you've been and where the killer has been to know which areas are definitely safe. If you're not sure if a certain area is safe, don't do it. If you're healthy, just take a hit, use the distance to run somewhere that you know is safe. Pre-run from the killer to make him waste time crossing the map and leave loops when he traps them. At the end of the day, he has bad mobility. He's going to spend a lot of time just trying to get to you. And anytime he tries to trap a loop, just go. Just leave. And the basement either spawns in main building or shack, so use the process of elimination to know where it is. Just go to one. Is it there? Yep. Is it not? Then it's at the other one. The Wraith. Force him out of his invisibility by repeatedly vaulting over windows and pallets so he can't block or break them. If you're not sure where he is and you're vulnerable, camp resources until you're sure of his position. What I mean by saying camp resources is like just sit at a pallet or a window until you know where he is. Like once he enters chase, injures somebody, or if he's on you, just don't let him catch you out in the open, especially if you're like dead on hook or you're injured. Play safe. Be aware of nearby choke points and resources that he may appear out of so you don't get body blocked. So like if you're working on a gen and you see a pallet next to you, that's a really good pallet, watch that because he might start appearing out of the pallet in an attempt to block you from being able to get there, and then you might panic. So don't panic. Have a plan. Keep an eye on what resources he might block, and then keep an eye on and have a plan for which resources you'll go to if he does. And don't hide, as he has an add-on to reveal nearby survivors when cloaked, within 8 meters of him. The Hillbilly. Keep track of where he is and pre-run from gens to avoid getting caught in the open. He has incredibly good mobility. He can go across the map in a matter of seconds. So always know where he is, and if you think he's on you, pre-run and make sure you make it to some kind of pallet. His turn rate decreases quickly immediately after using his power, so stay as far from him as you can when looping to make curving difficult. So curving, quick explanation, the Hillbilly, when he starts using his chainsaw, he can at first like turn really quickly. Like he can pretty much do a 180. But then the thing is, his turning starts to fall off, and once he gets to like the, after like just a second or two, he's no longer really able to turn, just a little bit. He can like turn, and certain add-ons can make it more, but it's still very, very limited. So he can do like a flick where immediately after he starts using his chainsaw, he can pretty much go in whatever direction he wants, but then he can't as much. So when you're looping, like looping around a pallet or like a big rock or something, you want to make sure that he is on the other side of the loop. Wherever you are, you're as far as him from possible. You're as far from him as possible, because that will make it difficult for him to actually get around the object with his chainsaw. Avoid dropping pallets for as long as possible and force him to hit you with a basic attack. He's not going to want to hit you with a basic attack because that will allow you to make distance and it will extend the chase. So he's going to try to use his chainsaw as much as possible. So just don't drop the pallet. Don't drop it. Don't drop. If you have a good pallet with like a big object next to it and you just loop around that big object, he's going to have to hit you with a basic attack sooner or later. Maybe not a really good Billy, but most Billies will eventually just have to hit you with a basic attack. And that will extend the chase. If you don't have a pallet to work with, run around a large round obstacle to deny his power. Again, like let's say you're healthy and you don't want to get instantly downed. If there's just a big rock, even if you don't have any of the pallets, just go around the rock and just keep him on the other side of the rock. And anytime he tries to use his chainsaw, just keep as much distance between you as possible, and he's not going to be able to hit you. And then he'll have to hit you with a basic attack, and then you can use that distance to make a real loop. The Nurse. Spread out on different gens to take advantage of her poor mobility. The Nurse, despite the fact that she can teleport, actually traverses the map slower than just a normal killer. So spreading out is especially effective on her. Pre-run from gens to keep her at bay. Once she gets close, it's almost impossible to shake her. Again, she is slow, but at the same time, once she's on top of you, it's over. Like any good Nurse player will just end the chase very quickly within a matter of like less than 10 seconds. So you have to make distance. And you can break line of sight and be unpredictable. Don't hold usual check spots at loops, as she will blink to those and swing before you can react. The thing is, if she doesn't use her power, she's about as slow as a survivor, I think even a little bit slower. So she can't catch you unless she uses her power. So what you have to do is you have to break line of sight, and you have to be unpredictable. So that way she tries to blink to where she thinks you are, but she has to make predictions. And when she makes predictions, sometimes she gets it wrong. Forcing her to make predictions rather than just allowing her to see you makes it so that she might be wrong, and she might blink to the wrong spot. And being unpredictable will help increase your odds of, escape. Don't hold usual check spots. What that means is, like, if you're at the killer shack, don't just sit at the corner of the shack like you usually would and watch both sides, because she's just going to blink there and she's going to swing and before you can even react, like I said. So you got to be in different spots. Don't be where she thinks you're going to be. Everything is a mind game with the nurse. It's literally all just pallets and windows might as well not exist. Just everything is a mind game. Don't be deny her line of sight. Don't be where she thinks you're going to be. Just be unpredictable and don't let her see you. If she catches you in the open, try to run around an obstacle to make her auto-aim onto it instead of you. This is a last resort kind of thing. If she is on top of you and you're out in the open, just find any kind of rock or any kind of object that you can just loop around and go in random directions, and hopefully she'll just blink through it and not know exactly where you are, and then she'll swing at the object. And then she'll enter her fatigue cooldown where you can make some distance. The shape, Michael Myers. Keep an eye out at all times, especially when standing still, including doing gens, healings, not just literally just doing nothing, but, being in one place, to avoid being stalked. Immediately break line of sight as much as possible when he's on you. It's better to go down quickly than to let him stalk you, because he won't be much of a threat to the rest of your team without his power. To expand on that, if you're in a chase, just break line of sight as much as possible. Do not let him stalk you, because even if your chase even if you could have pre-ran and made distance, but if that lets him stalk you, then now he's much more of a threat to not only you, but also to the rest of your team. So if you can break line of sight and deny him his power, then he's not really going to be a big deal. Especially because of the new update, his stalk meter decays when he hasn't stalked anyone in a while. So if he doesn't get his full power from you, even if he stalked you for halfway or whatever, then that's going to slowly start to go down if he doesn't find somebody else to stalk. Listen to the sound cues he makes when stalking to know the status of his power and if he may be stalking you. He makes a noise when he reaches half power, he makes a noise when he gets his power, and then he makes a noise when he activates it, and when it ends. So by listening to that and paying attention and keeping track of that, you can know where he's at. And if you notice that you're hearing, the stalk charging and nobody else is in chase, maybe he's on you. The Hag. She can only teleport to her traps when she is in a certain range. However, add-ons can change this. So just because the Hag is not nearby her traps doesn't necessarily mean that she can't teleport. She has add-ons that increase her range, and she also has one add-on that makes it so she can just teleport to any trap at will, no matter the distance. Crouching or standing still will not trigger her traps. Disarming them has no penalty. So unlike the Trapper, who has an add-on that will injure you if you disarm his traps, the Hag has nothing like that. If you disarm her traps, she doesn't know about it. It's not going to cause anything bad to happen. And if you just crouch up to it, then it won't trigger her. Also, if she puts a trap through a window, what you can do is that as you're running through the window, as soon as you vault it, let go of the shift or L1 or whatever your running button is. And if you're not running as you go through the window, it won't trigger her trap. Little tech. She is slower than average and is unlikely to chase you, so play the long game and be careful of her trap setups. Trap Hag games are going to be boring. That's why I don't like them. She's just going to hold a little gen setup, and you're just going to have to try to chip away at it slowly. So, always be healthy and avoid going down in her setup where she can always be in range to teleport back to the hook. The Doctor. Don't panic when he shocks you. Use the distance to make it back around a loop you wouldn't have otherwise. Every time that the Doctor shocks you and disables you, he loses a bit of distance. So you might be able to make it farther than you think you can. Because the Doctor can almost always guarantee a hit, but a lot of times if you just, keep hugging your corners and just keep going around the loop, it's going to take him a long time to get it. There's a small delay after he shocks you before you become disabled that you can use to act at the last second. So right after he shocks you, you're not immediately unable to do anything. There's a little window, which can be also reduced with add-ons, so be careful. But there's a little moment where you can still drop a pallet or vault a window before you're completely disabled. Avoid hiding, as the Doctor's power allows him to make everyone in his terror radius scream, exposing their location and causing madness. Pay attention to skill checks, as Doctors will often make these extremely difficult with perks. You have been warned, it sucks. The Huntress, the S-tier queen herself. When looping fake drops and vaults to make her aim unnecessarily, which slows her down every time she does it and puts her on a cooldown. Greed for as long as possible, even when you think you can't anymore. This will make it hard for her to guess your next move and allow you to stun her. Remember, the Huntress is a little bit slower than a normal killer, and she will really want to hit you while you're dropping a pallet. That's what Huntresses do. So even when you're like going around a pallet and you're like, oh my god, she's right behind you, there's no way I can make it back around. Do it anyway. You know what I mean? Because that's when she thinks you're going to drop it. When she thinks that you have to drop it, don't drop it, because that's when she thinks you're going to. So that makes you really unpredictable, and it will allow you to stun her. Like, let's say you go around a pallet 5 times, right? And you don't drop it. And then the next pallet that you go to, you drop it after the second loop, and then you stun her. You know what I mean? Because you didn't expect it. She thought that you were going to hold it for way longer. So by being, unpredictable and going longer than you think you can, it's going to make it really hard for her to guess your next move. Use sound cues to know when she's aiming and how long your hatchet has been charged for. This may warn you of cross-map and orbital shots. So when she's close to you, you can hear her go, every time she lifts her hatchet. And then when her hatchet is fully charged, it goes like shing. And that can be heard from across the entire map. So if you hear the Huntress, if you hear that sound of the shing, like her hatchet is fully charged, then break line of sight. And the next one, respect her hatchets and deny line of sight whenever she has one raised. Use her slow movement speed when aiming to make distance if possible. So that goes for both if you're in chase or if you're not in chase. If you hear a hatchet is fully charged, get off your gen, just wait for a little bit until she throws it, and it could prevent you from taking damage. And then also if you're in a chase, respect her hatchets. Just act like the Huntress has perfect aim and that she'll hit you the moment that you step out of cover. So use cover as much as possible. If you can use cover like a long wall or something to make distance, then you can take advantage of her slow movement speed. But otherwise, respect the hatchets. Don't give her a line of sight whenever she has one raised. Especially if you're out in the open. Find something to hide behind, anything. The Cannibal, Leatherface, aka I will put, for some of the licensed characters who are not usually called by their DBD names, I will put it in nobody calls him the Cannibal. They call him Leatherface, you know what I mean? Or Bubba. Nobody calls, Albert Wesker the Mastermind. It just doesn't happen. So I'll put the more commonly used names. Avoid greeting, as he doesn't slow down very much when charging his power, and good players will often flick back and forth to make their direction unpredictable while using their slowly increasing speed to outrun you. Remember, recently there was an update that increased the density of pallets on almost all the maps, so don't be afraid to drop pallets. He will try to outplay almost every pallet, and unlike Bubba, he's much better at doing it because he doesn't really slow down that much when he holds his chainsaw. He can just kind of walk you down with that thing. And also, the longer that he holds his chainsaw for, he speeds up over time. So if he just flicks back and forth and is kind of making it hard to guess which way he's going, the whole time he's getting a little bit faster while he does that. So it's going to be really hard to outplay. So just drop the pallets. Just drop pallets. And if you have nothing else to work with, run around obstacles to try to make him bump, kind of like the nurse. Just find any kind of little weird object and just run around it, and hopefully he won't have good enough pathing, and he'll hit into it, and then he'll enter a little... why can I never think of that word? It starts with a T. A tantrum. He'll enter a little tantrum where he'll be on cooldown. Spread out, as his chainsaw will go through survivors without stopping, and he has an add-on to replenish his charges after downing someone. So split up, don't be together. Use medkits or self-care or other self-healing perks. Try to avoid healing in groups or working on gens altogether. Because unlike Bubba, his chainsaw just keeps going, and he can replenish his charges when he downs somebody. Bubbas are known for trying to snowball and slug, so avoid that at all costs. The Nightmare, aka Freddy Krueger. Use clocks as often as possible since they have no penalty and will make you immune to falling asleep for a short period after waking up. Attempt to juke his dream snare, as it will slow you down significantly and almost guarantee a hit, especially when you're in the open. Even in a lot of loops, this snare is incredibly good, so try to avoid it if you can. Leave dream pallets as soon as possible since you'll get hit no matter what, and you can use the speed boost from getting hit to make it somewhere else. Avoid healing when asleep unless you want to distract the killer because he can teleport to you. A lot of people still don't know that. He can teleport to you if you're healing and you're in the dream world. So keep that in mind. Use at your own discretion. The pig from Saw. Some people might call her Jigsaw or Saw. That's not her name. It's Amanda Young. She's not Jigsaw, but people might call her that. Don't hide, as she has an add-on that allows her to see nearby survivors when crouched. It's within 16 meters. Try to predict which way she will ambush, as the killer will often flick away from the original direction they were facing when they started. However, if they notice that, you keep going the opposite way, then they're going to switch it up. So obviously, the fun thing about Dead by Daylight is that you're always fighting a real person and not like an AI. So they're going to adapt and they're going to change their play style to try to outsmart you. So that's one of my favorite things about this game. But keep that in mind. Always try to predict which way they're going to go, but it's kind of a 50-50 a lot of times. If you have a reverse bear trap, play safe and prioritize removing it, since it can apply debuffs like exhausted or blindness and take longer than normal to remove. And it can also have a shorter timer. So yeah, it's really important to take the bear trap off. And also she has a limited number of traps. So even if you take it off really fast and then she puts another one on you, that's a trap that she can't put on one of your teammates. You know what I mean? She only has a maximum of 6 traps. And usually killers will never bring the add-on to have both extra traps. They'll maybe have 1 extra trap or whatever. But she'll usually just maybe have 4 or 5 traps that she can put on people throughout the entire game. She doesn't know where the jigsaw boxes are, but she can still interrupt you when removing it, so make sure she's not following you. So she can't see the auras of the boxes, but if you're working on a box, make sure she's not following you, because otherwise she can interrupt you and then effectively cut down your timer. You know what I mean? Because if you spend 10 seconds working on a box and then she interrupts you at the last second, that's 10 seconds that now you don't have, that you've effectively wasted. The clown. Pre-run from gens, as he will use his yellow bottles to increase his speed and approach quickly. Pre-drop pallets to force him to go around them or break them. Don't play unsafe pallets and be careful around pallets that are usually safe. He will use his bottles to make every loop feel smaller. So he can speed himself up and he can slow you down, so everything is going to feel like a shorter loop because the speed difference is just going to allow him to catch up to you so much faster. Use mind games and predictions because it will be harder to react due to his increased speed. So because the clown effectively has Bloodlust 3 at all times with his yellow bottles that make him 15% faster, or I think even a bit faster if he brings add-ons, it's going to be really hard to react in time. So don't try to react, just try to predict what he's going to do, because his speed will throw you off. The spirit. Wear headphones and listen closely. It's no secret the spirit was not a killer designed with accessibility in mind, so you kind of have to have good hearing, unfortunately. When she begins phasing, she makes a whooshing sound that is directional and based on distance. So you can tell which way she's coming from, how far away she is. So if you have good hearing, you basically know exactly where she is. Break line of sight when you think she's about to start phasing, then begin walking away from all nearby loops so she can't predict where you're going. This will force her to end her power and enter a cooldown. So if the spirit's not right on top of you, try to get behind a wall when you think she's about to start phasing, and that will give you the most amount of time to start walking away, and then she's the least likely to hear you, and then she'll probably end up either just ending her power or swinging at the nearest pallet, hoping that you're there. She needs to wait for her whole power to recharge, meaning her cooldown is based on how long she phased for. Keep track of this to know when she can use it again. So she has a certain amount of time that she can phase, and let's say she uses half of that, she has to wait for that whole power to come back before she can use it again. So if she uses her whole power, then she's going to have her whole power cooldown. And if she only uses 10% of it, then she'll only have 10% that she needs to recharge. So the longer that she phases, the longer her cooldown is. So keep that in mind. The Legion. Spread out to avoid letting the killer chain hits between different survivors, forcing everyone to mend and letting the killer down someone. If the killer hits someone who is in deep wound, it will end their power, which means you can body block and prevent them from chaining. So if you're the first person to get hit by their power, you can literally just follow the killer around and body block them mid-chase so that they have to hit you or end their power and they can't chain the Feral Frenzy. The killer has an add-on to break pallets when they vault, which can be countered by pre-dropping and vaulting over them repetitively. Kind of like the Wraith, if you're vaulting over a pallet over and over again, they can't vault over it or break it. So it'll force them to end their power or to go around you and just leave the pallet. And the thing is, the Legion, when they're in their power, is they can't down you unless they somehow manage to hit every single survivor once. So don't be afraid of them when they're in their power. Until they cancel their power, they can't do anything to you. And once they cancel their power, they're a basic attack killer. So don't be afraid of the Legion. Many of their add-ons trigger debuffs upon mending yourself, so if you let someone else mend you, it will prevent them from working. So add-ons that like show the killer your aura after you mend, or make mending take longer, or make you broken and unable to heal, I think they all only apply when you mend yourself. If somebody else mends you, it doesn't happen. So keep that in mind. The Plague. Avoid cleansing unless you're close to death. Every time you cleanse, it gives her a fountain she can use to get her power. I believe she only starts with about a maximum of 2 fountains that she can use to get her power. And if you have to cleanse far away from active gens and strong loops, so she has to go out of her way to get it. So if you're working on like 3 gens that are all really close to each other, you're on the last gen, don't cleanse at a fountain that's right next to them, because then she can just go get the fountain and now she has her power and everything's a lot harder for your whole team. If you cleanse like on the other side of the map, now she has to go out of her way to get it, and then she has to walk back over, and she spent like 20 seconds of her power just walking back to the gens. And so she'll only have like 40 seconds left on her power. And also, if you're looping, loop indoors or around tall walls that she can't puke over to hit you. Stunning her will immediately end her power, so she will play extra safe around pallets and you can greed them for longer. So just like Huntress, or even more than Huntress, greed pallets, because she is deathly afraid of getting stunned. Because yeah, stunning her will literally instantly end her corrupt puke ability. So it's kind of crazy, but that's the way it works. So yeah, she will play extra safe. The Ghost Face. Pay attention to his movements and position at all times to deny his stealth. His main advantage is the fact that you don't know where he is. So if you know where he is, he doesn't really have a power. If you think he's on you, camp resources until you know where he is to avoid being stalked. You do not want to get stalked without knowing it, because he can stalk you until you're almost marked, which is called 99ing, like you're 99% marked, and there's no way to remove it. If you catch him stalking you, assume you're already 99'd and can be instantly downed at any moment. So the thing is, if he stalks you without you realizing it and you're already 99'd, like he can just come up to you at any point, pop his power, stalk you, and now you're insta downed. So if you're working on a gen and you see a little, white mask over in the corner, just assume he's already got you right there and play very safe. Revealing him is tricky and good players will know how to prevent it. Don't try revealing him if he can see you and he's not out in the open. Marked survivors cannot reveal him. That's another just fact that not everybody knows. If you're marked by the Ghostface, you can't reveal him to your team. It won't work. The Demogorgon. Pay attention to when he's charging his dash and what resources he may attempt to zone you from. The killer will often bluff his dash to make you run from resources, so be unpredictable and vault in front of his face if you think he won't commit. Listen for the sound cue that plays when he travels through the upside down and pre-run if you think he may be on you. So there is an add-on that will make it silent when he comes out of a portal. Usually there's a noise whenever he exits one, but there's always a map-wide sound that plays whenever he travels through any portal. And pre-running will help because, again, he's just a normal movement speed killer. The main advantage that he has is if he teleports right on top of you and now he's right behind you, that can be pretty scary. But if you pre-run, whenever you hear that noise, if you think that he already knows about your gen and that he's probably coming to check on it, then that will help you avoid getting hit for free. The killer doesn't know when you're near or interacting with portals. However, you will be oblivious, which means you don't hear a terror radius, and can be interrupted if he teleports. So there used to be an add-on called the Lifeguard Whistle that is still technically in the game, but it used to let you see whenever people were nearby your portal or interacting with them, which was really broken because it let you just hold hex totems for the entire game. So that doesn't exist anymore. They nerfed it. They changed it. So don't be afraid to be nearby portals. He technically has an add-on where he can see everyone that's nearby a portal whenever he travels through the upside down, but a lot of people don't run it, and it can be kind of hard to use, so I wouldn't worry about that one too much. The Oni. Avoid getting hit for as long as possible. Pre-drop and play extremely safe in the early game. Denying him his power will keep him out of the game. Without his power, he has nothing. He's just a basic killer. So keeping him away from his power for as long as possible will make the game much more likely to be a success. When he uses his power, he turns slowly and has a hard time navigating large obstacles. Use this to prevent him from getting close to you. He can flick during his dash to hit anyone close to him. He can pretty much flick in any direction, like a full 360. So if you're anywhere nearby him whenever he's dashing, consider yourself toast. So try to take advantage of his slow turn rate around obstacles and go around like large obstacles, kind of like the Hillbilly. He moves slowly unless he uses his dash, so he's unlikely to catch you without it. So don't worry, even if he's right behind you, he's going to have to charge his dash, because otherwise he's so slow that he won't really be able to catch you realistically without using it. Heal immediately when you can to prevent blood orbs from spawning. The less blood orbs on the map, the less often he will be able to get his power. And also if you're walking around injured, you're leaving blood orbs everywhere, so it's going to be even easier for him to get his power. He won't have to go out of his way to get it. The Deathslinger. Be aware of holes in walls when looping, since his gun can go through incredibly small gaps. Just watch any Deathslinger compilation montage and you'll see what I mean. Any tiny little hole in the wall or broken window he can shoot through. Keep as much distance as you can from him and use obstacles to prevent him from being able to hit you once he spears you. So even if he spears you and you're injured and you're about to get downed, if he can't actually pull you into him and like lunge into you, then he won't be able to down you. So even if, like let's say there's like a wall here and he hits you through the wall, if you're right here, he can't realistically pull you around either one of the walls. So he's just going to have to let you go. And then you'll actually get a little bit of a speed boost. So just try to keep as much walls between him and you as possible, especially walls that he can't like pull you around. He has an add-on to instantly down you if he hits you from more than 12 meters. Oh, sorry, first one. Be aware of where he is to prevent him from sneaking up on you and spearing you off a gen. He has an add-on to instantly down you if he hits you from more than 12 meters, so avoid pre-running unless you can break line of sight. So first of all, he could sneak up on you and then use that add-on and then pull you off of it and instantly down you. Also, don't pre-run away from him because he might want you to get a little bit of distance and then shoot you so that he can insta-down you if you're healthy. The Executioner, aka Pyramid Head. Avoid torment trails that will let him know your position upon being triggered and allow him to instantly hook you once he downs you. Predict when he's going to use his ranged attack and where he may try to zone you from. Break line of sight and don't hold usual check spots since he can hit you through walls. The punishment of the damned attack, it will go through any walls. It used to have issues on certain maps, but that wasn't really intentional, and they finally fixed that, especially for the Larry's Memorial Theater map. So, he can pretty much hit you through anything. So pre-drop and pre-run as much as possible, since a good player will be incredibly hard to shake once he's on you. If it's a good Pyramid Head and he just is reading you like a book and he has aura reading perks and he can see you through walls, like, you're pretty toast. But he is a normal movement speed killer. He doesn't have a dash or a teleport. So, just pre-drop, pre-run, make distance, and that's about the best thing you can do. And if he is on you, just try to predict where he's going to use his attacks. The Blight. Camp resources and avoid allowing him to hit you as he travels the map, aka this is called conversion. Conversion is basically, so Blights will often use their rush attacks to travel across the map and patrol gens. You never want to let him use one of his travel rushes to hit you, because basically whenever he stops rushing, he enters like a pretty long cooldown where he has to like stim himself and he moves really slow, and then he has to wait for all the tokens that he used to recharge. So basically, if you can avoid getting hit by the rushes that he's using to just travel the map, then now he has to enter a cooldown, and then he has to chase you like normal. He has to wait for his power to come back, and then he still has to hit you 2 times. So do not get converted at all costs. Force him to have to end his power that he was using to travel the map. Drop pallets freely and don't leave loops until his power is on cooldown. He's a pretty scary killer, and he can outplay certain pallets, but yeah, just drop pallets. He has to break them, he has to eat them. And don't leave the loop until he's on cooldown, because he will catch up to you. If you have to, you can use large round obstacles to juke his rushes, since his turn rate is reduced significantly while using his power. So if you're out in the open and he starts rushing on you, if you can find some big rock or something to loop around, you can make it pretty much impossible for him to hit you. The cooldown of his power is based on how many rushes he used. So paying attention to this will allow you to know how long you have to run. Like the Spirit, if he only uses 2 rushes, then he's only going to have like a 4-second cooldown. I believe it's about 2 seconds per rush. I could be wrong. But basically, the more rushes that he uses, the longer his cooldown is. So keep that in mind. The Twins. Stay healthy at all times. Victor can only down you if you're injured. Split up, especially when you're injured. Victor can down you and keep going. Avoid letting Victor attach to you, since you'll become injured and unable to do anything for a short period, including healing slug teammates. If you're injured and Victor is chasing you, hide in a locker. This will allow you to slowly crush him and you can escape if Charlotte does not come in time. So for people who know how the twins work, all 6 of you, you probably are like, those are pretty good tips. For the, tens of thousands of people who don't know how the twins work, quick introduction. There's Charlotte, there's Victor. Charlotte can unbind Victor and basically detach him from her. He moves super fast. You can't outrun him. He can jump over pallets and through windows. He's pretty much unavoidable. If you're healthy and he hits you, he'll latch onto you and you'll become unable to do anything for a while. You'll become injured and you'll have to crush him before you can do anything. If you're injured, he can just down you instantly and then he enters a little cooldown, but he can just keep going. He doesn't attach to you. The killer doesn't have to go back to Charlotte. So if he downs somebody and you're let's say you're healthy and you're healing your injured teammate and then Victor downs your injured teammate, try to avoid letting him attach to you because you won't be able to do anything until you crush him, including you can't heal your teammate that just got downed. And if you are injured and he's chasing you, hide in a locker. When you go in a locker, basically he can hold you in the locker and keep you there and you'll be able to crush him. It takes a while, but if you can crush him before Charlotte can get to you, then you'll be able to make it out. Whereas if you just let him down you, then you're down and you have to get picked up. So going in a locker at least gives you a chance. The Trickster. Your laceration meter will decrease only when you have not been hit in a while. Don't focus on trying to reduce it unless you can break line of sight for a while. The thing is, some people, I've made this mistake myself, friends have made this mistake where they're trying to get the laceration meter down. Good Trickster players are very methodical and they'll just hit you around every corner and they'll make sure you don't go too long without getting hit. So don't worry about your laceration meter, really. Just worry about not getting hit, really. And always pre-drop, since he can't instantly down you and he moves at a normal movement speed, so he's more likely to go for basic attack. So just drop pallets, because even if he hits you a few times while you're dropping it, at least he's not going to actually injure you, because he has to hit you 8 times to even injure you. So he has to hit you 16 times to down you with his blades. So he's just going to play the long game and try to hit you around every little corner. So, but also he moves at 115. He's a normal killer. So he's more likely to just go for a swing whenever he can. And he's not going to be as easy to just greed pallets with. Split up from others when being chased to avoid allowing him to get value from his main event. The Nemesis. Pre-drop and play safe early game to prevent his mutation. He starts out slow and unable to break pallets with his whip. Every time he whips someone, his mutation increases. So keep him from mutating for as long as possible, and the game is going to be really easy. In Tier 2, his speed increases, he gains the ability to break pallets with his whip, and its range increases. Greed pallets until he's forced to hit you with his basic attack, since this won't progress his mutation and has a longer cooldown. In Tier 2, he can break pallets with his whip, so dropping pallets is pretty much pointless, but he still needs to mutate to get to Tier 3, so he's going to try to whip you. He's not going to go for basic attacks. So literally force him to go for a basic attack. Even if he hits you with a basic attack, it's fine, because he's not going to mutate. And also you can make more distance. He has a little bit of a longer cooldown. Once he's in Tier 3, his speed increases as well as the range of his whip. This is max mutation, so play safe since he'll be more likely to basic attack. So in his Tier 1 and Tier 2, he's probably not going to hit you unless you force him to. But in Tier 3, he doesn't care as much. When he hits you with a basic attack, it has a little bit of a longer cooldown than the whip. So really good Nemesis players will probably avoid basic attacks, but most of them won't care, and they'll just hit you because they don't need to mutate anymore. The Cenobite, Pinhead. Avoid leading him to the Lament configuration, aka the box, at all costs. Once he finds it, he can instantly initiate the chain hunt, which debilitates everyone on the map until the Lament configuration is solved. Every time he spawns a possessed chain, he stops in place. If you can juke the chain, then you can use this to make distance. So if he stands still, he starts controlling a little chain, you're still running. If you can juke that chain, he was standing still the whole time, you make a lot of distance. When held by chains, all you can do is interact with chase props. You won't be able to do anything productive. That's why the chain hunt sucks, is because it will make it so that you literally can't heal, you can't repair, you can't do totems. You basically can't do anything. All you can do is pretty much just get chased. You can break the chains, and you can vault pallets and drop them, and vault windows, but nothing else. You can use obstacles to snap the chains instead of manually removing them. So you can remove them, which takes a second. Or you can, if you can walk around a wall or something, you can also break the chain like that, which is faster. The Artist. I'm going to have a little bit of coffee. I'm going to chapterize that too. Pay attention when birds take flight to avoid being sniped while working on gens. There's a noise she makes, like a wah or something like that. I don't know. Whenever she launches the birds. And also you can see the auras of the birds when they're in flight. So you'll be able to see where they're going and you can avoid them. The killer slows down when launching birds. Baiting her into sending them can allow you to make distance and reach the next resource. So if she has like let's say there's a pallet and then she has like a bird on the pallet and then she's right behind you, if you can like kind of bait her to send the bird, then she's going to slow down and maybe now you can make the pallet or you can make it back around the pallet through the distance that you made from her slowing down. If a bird is launched at you from short range, it will instantly damage you. Running into a placed bird or being hit by a bird from long range will swarm you but won't injure you. When swarmed, you can still do anything, but the killer can see your aura unless you're repelling them, and being hit by birds at any range will damage you. So just a quick explanation of how her power works. Walking into a bird while it's placed will never hurt you, it will just swarm you. But if you're swarmed and then you get hit by a bird, even if it's across the entire map, it'll injure you. As long as you're being swarmed actively, even if you're repelling them. But when you're repelling them, she can't see your aura. But if you're not repelling them, then she can. So just a quick, she's not the most popular killer, so I feel like for some of them I'm going to give you, especially for like certain complicated or less popular killers, I'll give explanations of their powers. The Onryo, aka Sadako. Being by any powered TV when she teleports will give you 1 stack of Condemned up to 7. Taking a tape from a TV will turn it off and highlight what TV you need to go to in order to lower your Condemned. Every time you deposit a tape, it will remove up to 3 of your Condemned stacks. If you get hooked, it will lock in up to 3 of your Condemned stacks, making them irremovable. So if you have 1, 2, or 3 Condemned stacks, those will become permanent, and you will never be able to remove them. But even if you get hooked and you have like 6 Condemned stacks, it'll only lock in 3 of them. It won't lock in all of them. But if you get hooked again, then it can lock in up to 3 more. So if you have a lot of Condemned, try to avoid getting hooked. She gains a speed boost after exiting a TV, so don't try outrunning her. Go to a resource instead. If you see that she starts teleporting through the TV, try to just go to the nearest pallet or window because she moves really fast when she comes out of the TV. When demanifested, she can walk through people, cannot be stunned, and cannot injure survivors. She has no terror radius and can only teleport when she is in this form. Well demanifested, and shortly after manifesting, she phases in and out, which she can use to mind game you around short loops. So basically, she'll like appear and then reappear and disappear, and you won't be able to tell exactly where she is. She'll kind of cut in and out. So she can use that to like mind game you because you won't know exactly where she is. So whenever after she manifests and you're on like a short little loop, you kind of just got to predict where she's going to go because you're not going to be able to know exactly where she is at all times. The Dredge. Lockers can only be locked once and are broken whenever the killer exits them or hits them. When charging their teleport, the killer slows down and leaves behind Remnant, which they can teleport back to or to any locker on the map. Chain loops together to avoid being pincered by the Remnant. If you have to, you can bait the killer into teleporting back to the Remnant too early and then vault before they can hit you. During Nightfall, the killer can detect survivors nearby lockers, so keep this in mind when healing or working on gens. The killer also becomes undetectable when they're in Nightfall, so you can't see their aura or anything. And yeah, if you're nearby any locker, he'll see you. So it's not a good look. And also, again, the first one is important to reiterate because the reason, if you ever heard people say, oh, don't lock all the lockers right next to each other, is because, yeah, if you, like, let's say you're at Shack and there's like 2 lockers in there. If you lock both of them and then he comes out of one of them, he can just swing at the other one, and now both of them are permanently unlocked for the rest of the game. You can never lock them again. The Mastermind, aka Albert Wesker, or just Wesker. Keep your distance when juking his dashes, since he gets locked into one direction, making it harder to hit when the survivor is further away. The killer can vault pallets and windows with his dashes, which can be used against him. Faking a vault can cause him to vault, putting him across a wall from you and his power back on cooldown. Although he will often expect you to do this, so, use at your own discretion. His first dash is slower and doesn't go as far as his second dash, but it can still damage you. Wesker can't turn mid-dash, but he can look around. He'll throw you in whatever direction he's facing, so don't think you're safe just because there's nothing ahead of you to slam against. So if Wesker uses his power to grab you, he'll either, if you're right up against a wall, he'll slam you into the wall, or if you're out in the open, he'll throw you. And then if you get thrown into an object, it will damage you. But if you don't get thrown into any object, you won't get damaged at all. But so the thing is, you might think, okay, if you're out in the open and he's kind of far behind you, and then he dashes to catch you, he's just going to throw you into nothing and you'll be safe. But if there's like a wall over to your left, what he can do is that as he's dashing, he can like turn mid-dash. He can't actually change direction, but he can look towards the wall. And then once he grabs you, he'll throw you into the wall. So always assume that he can, unless you're like literally out in the middle of nowhere, assume that he can throw you into something if he's smart. The Knight. Every guard has a separate cooldown, so don't think you're safe because he already used one. Every time he places a guard, he stands still and can't immediately unleash it. Try to predict where he'll summon it and run away from both of them. Don't pre-drop unless you know the Carnifex is on cooldown. This guard breaks pallets almost instantly, and he can summon it immediately on a pallet and practically walk through it. If he knows you're working on a gen, he'll send guards periodically to harass you. Try to predict when he does and avoid line of sight to prevent wasting time. If he summons a guard, the guard has to be within a certain range of you, and it has to have line of sight to you in order to initiate a hunt. So if you can hide behind something and get the guard to not see you, then it will walk away, and then you won't waste nearly as much time as you would have if it were to hunt you. If his guard hits you, or if he hits you, it will end the hunt. So the guard will go away instantly. So what good knights will do is that they'll try to have the guard hit you, and then they'll hit you. But the thing is, if you can get the knight to hit you first, like if you know you're going to get hit, get the knight to hit you, get the killer to hit you, because then the guard will go away and you can't get double tapped. The Skull Merchant. Her drones can't detect you if you're crouched or standing still. Don't disarm them if you're working on a gen, or she'll know you're there. So if you're working on a gen, you're standing still, the drone's not going to detect you. So don't disarm it, because if you disarm it, she can tell which drones have been disarmed and which ones haven't. So you're basically just giving her free info. After being scanned by a drone, you gain a lock-on stack and have a few seconds of immunity to getting scanned. Once you get 3 lock-on stacks, you'll receive a claw trap, which will make you injured, broken, and reveal your location to the killer until it runs out of battery. Once it runs out, your lockout stacks will be reset. If the killer is on you and you're about to get claw trapped, run away. Once you get trapped, she can still immediately hit you and down you, as there's no action or cooldown for scanning. So the thing is, like, she doesn't have to actively scan you. The drone will scan you. So if she's right behind you and you're about to get your 3rd lock-on stack and get the claw trap, she can just immediately hit you right afterwards. So don't let that happen. Just run, even if you have to run right back into her. As long as you're not allowing her to just instantly down you, then you can use the hit to make more distance, or try to get trapped at a more convenient time. Because when you get injured from the claw trap, it'll still give you distance. But if she's right behind you, she can just hit you immediately. I should have included that. Maybe I'll edit that in. The Singularity. Cameras take a moment to infect you or teleport, so you can break line of sight to prevent this. The killer can immediately infect or teleport you when he sees you, but there is a cooldown. So if he's trying to get you through a camera, it's going to take him like a couple seconds to actually get a camera onto you and then to actually teleport. So, but if he's right behind you, it'll happen instantly. There's no, he doesn't need to like get line of sight to you for any amount of time. He just needs to see you and then bam, he can instantly teleport. But there is a cooldown. Once he teleports, he enters overclock mode for a few seconds. In this mode, he moves, breaks, and vaults faster. Wait until he teleports or before, whatever, I'm going to leave that, it's a typo. Wait until he teleports or before dropping. Oh, I think I know what I mean. Wait until he teleports before dropping or vaulting, so he'll spawn behind you and you can make distance during his cooldown. Stay away from other survivors to avoid spreading the infection. Yeah, I didn't know this. Well, I knew it somewhat. I learned it somewhat recently. If you're like nearby other survivors or you interact with other survivors, the infection will spread. So don't do that. The Xenomorph. Place turrets around high progress gens and strong loops to distract the killer and knock them out of their power. 2 turrets next to each other will always end the power. When in their power, break line of sight and try to bait tail attacks to slow down the killer. If you have to, you can get in their face. The tail is more difficult to land when the survivor is extremely close. The killer can still basic attack you, but it can buy you time. The killer can see survivors directly above him when he's traveling through tunnels, unless they're carrying a turret. So yeah, if the killer is going through a tunnel, then anyone who's like above him, he'll be able to see like little footsteps, like killer instinct of where they are. So hiding is not very good unless you have a turret. So I guess if you're very vulnerable, you could just walk around with a turret. It's not really a good idea. It's just more something to keep in mind. stealth is not the best thing for the Xenomorph. The good guy, Chucky, when dashing, he can't turn, but he can strafe very quickly and flick to hit anyone close to him. The only way to block him is to go around a wall. So unlike a lot of our other dash killers who get locked in one direction, he can't really like turn, but he can strafe and he can move a lot. If you ever fought a Chucky, you're like, oh my god, how did he hit me? He can like strafe. It's kind of crazy. So the only thing that you can use to block him is like literally a wall where he can't, go through it. When he goes under a pallet or through a window during a dash, he becomes locked in one direction and can't strafe freely like he can during his initial dash. So if he's on you and if he's dashing at you and you can vault, then even if he scampers through the vault, it's much easier to juke his second dash because he won't be able to just move freely like the first one. He plays with a third-person camera and is very small, which makes him extremely difficult to deal with in short loops, so try to make it to larger, safer loops whenever possible. So yeah, you're going to have a hard time seeing him. He's going to have a really easy time seeing you, so play the safest, biggest loops that you can, and pre-run if necessary to get to those loops, because otherwise you'll probably just get hit for free. The Unknown. As the match progresses, he spawns clones, which he can teleport to at will, so long as he is not on cooldown. Pay attention to clones and disarm them whenever possible. If you can't, then note their position so you don't run into them during chase. Important note, if the clones are like hunched over, that means that he cannot teleport. But if the clones are standing upright, like the killer usually does, that means he can teleport to them. So you actually can know whether or not his teleport is on cooldown, based on whether or not the clones are down or up. The Unknown's projectiles bounce before detonating and go through walls. Don't hold usual check spots and move unpredictably whenever he's using his power. So like Pyramid Head, his projectiles can hit you through walls. So don't be where he thinks you're going to be unpredictable, break line of sight, the usual stuff. Staring at him will remove the infection. If you stare at him the whole time, he has a very small window to hit you and actually damage you. So he can shoot a little projectile and then he has a cooldown, and then the whole time that you're staring at him and you're infected, it will remove your infection. And if you're staring at him the whole time, he only has a couple seconds to actually hit you before you remove your infection. So Unknowns have to have very good accuracy in order to hit you. So if you can just be unpredictable and juke it, then he's going to have to hit you with basic attacks, or he's going to have to be extremely cracked at the game. The Lich, Vecna. The Lich has 4 spells which all have their own cooldown. Chests spawn throughout the trial which give you magical items that counter his spells. If you are afflicted by the Dispelling Sphere, which is like a little purple icon or a little purple circle that goes on your icon, none of your items will work until it runs out. Predict which spells he's going to use and when. Chain loops together in order to prevent him from easily disabling them. He has a spell where he can use a hand on a pallet to lift it up or block it, and he can use that to disable any kind of single pallet loop. So make sure to chain multiple loops together to prevent that. Looking at his animation will show you which spell he's going to use. However, you can't rely on this because good players will switch rapidly to make it seem like they're about to use a different spell. If you're curious, it's called spancel, is what people call it. It's like spell cancel, SP ansel. So if you want to look up more about how that works, look up spancel. Dead by Daylight, probably, because maybe spancel is like a German word or something. The Dark Lord, Dracula. Dracula has 3 forms he can switch between. When he's in bat form, he's usually traversing the map, and he usually just uses this for mobility, sometimes during chase, but usually just to patrol around the map. When he's in wolf form or vampire form, he's usually in chase. Usually they won't just travel the map in wolf or vampire form. So you can kind of tell based on which form he's in, what he's probably doing, even if he's not nearby you. Bat form allows him to teleport and fly over obstacles, but he can't see survivors. Walking will allow you to leave no scratch marks and be hard to hear unless you're injured. Wolf form has 2 short dashes and gathers scent orbs from survivors that speed him up. So basically he's like a mini little Wesker. He can do the 2 little dashes. He gets locked into which direction he starts dashing in. And the survivors periodically leave scent orbs that basically give him a little bit of haste every time he picks them up. Also, the wolf form can see blood more clearly, so don't try stealth when you're injured. It's probably not going to work. Vampire form shoots pillars of hellfire that go over pallets, windows, and short obstacles. They don't go through walls completely. He has to basically be able to like see over the obstacle in order for it to go through it, kind of like Nemesis's whip. But he can hit you over pallets, windows, and anything that's basically lower than head height. The Houndmaster. Her dog can dash twice, during which the killer becomes idle. The dog can grab you but won't hurt you unless it dashes at you as you're vaulting. Stunning the dog with a pallet will instantly free you and will slow you down for a bit. Camp pallets until the killer sends the dog or swings. She has a very short cooldown between dog chases. Don't try to make distance unless you can juke the dog. The dog can also be sent across the map to detect survivors. The killer's speed increases when she follows the dog trail. So the dog has two modes, chase and send, I think it's called, or something like that. Basically, or search. Oh, it's called chase and search, I think. So basically, chase is where the dog has two dashes, so she can send the dog and then she can send it again. And if the dog can grab you, or if you're vaulting, it'll injure you. And then also she can use the dog to search, where she can send it across the map to basically anywhere. She can send it to gens. She can just send it to just anywhere too. She doesn't need to send it to gens. And if she follows the trail of the dog while it's searching, she moves much faster. So she has pretty good mobility. So you might want to pre-run away from generators if she thinks that she's on you. Or if the dog like gets sent to your generator, then just assume that she's coming, and she's coming probably faster than you think. The Ghoul, aka Kaneki/Rize. I give them two names because there's a skin that's very popular for the Ghoul where it's like another character from Tokyo Ghoul named Rize. And a lot of people use that skin more than they use the, Kaneki himself, because she's less annoying. She's like, Kaneki screams super loudly whenever you have him in the lobby. So people like Rize because she doesn't scream so much. The killer can only do a perfectly timed grab attack, aka a free hit, on his second or third dash. Take advantage of his slow speed while holding his power to break line of sight and avoid the free hit. It's very hard to avoid the free hit, but the best thing you can do is that he can't grab you on his first dash. It has to be after that. So if you can break line of sight and then take advantage of the fact that he moves slowly whenever he's charging his grapple, then sometimes you can avoid it. Wait to vault until the killer has grappled onto you to avoid letting him vault with you. After grappling, he has a short cooldown during which you can vault or drop. Don't leave the loop, commit as long as you can. Chaining nearby loops together will allow you to last longer. He has basically Spider-Man grappling. If you try to leave any kind of loop, he will catch up to you and it's over, kind of like Blight. So technically if he uses like a bunch of grapples, then you can try to make distance, but generally leaving loops and making distance, just don't do it. Don't panic if he grapples in front of you and body blocks you. Players will often do this. Have a plan and use the slowdown he gets to make it somewhere else. So a lot of times you might panic. Like sometimes what they'll do is they'll like grapple and then they'll put themselves right in front of you and they'll block whatever resource you were trying to reach. So don't panic, just expect him to do that. Like if you're going around Shack and you're trying to make it back to the pallet, just expect that he might grapple in front of you and block the pallet. And if he does that, then try to just immediately redirect and find a different way to get to it or a different resource to go to. So always have a plan for what to do if he body blocks you, kind of like the Wraith. The animatronic, Springtrap. When the killer has his axe on him, he moves slightly slower until he uses it. He will move at normal speed until he summons it again. There's a few second cooldown before he can do so. Bait axe throws before vaulting so you can do so before he can grab you. Greed pallets to prevent him from hitting you during the dropping animation. So he's very similar to Huntress. He also has an axe. The main difference is that he has a longer cooldown between axe throws. It's like 3 seconds, I think, whereas Huntress can be just like a second or two. And then also he has like a longer, how do I say this? When he throws the axe, there's a longer cooldown before he can even basic attack you. So he has separate cooldowns, right? So basically when he throws the axe, there's a delay before he can do anything. And then there's also a cooldown before he can like summon the axe back. And both of the cooldowns, he basically has longer cooldowns than the Huntress. So the Huntress doesn't have a very long cooldown after throwing axes. She can just kind of spam them. And she can attack you much more quickly after throwing an axe. But Springtrap is a bit more clunky and a bit slower. So if you can bait an axe throw, you can often make it through a vault. Because he can't react as quickly after throwing an axe. And also greed pallets, same thing. When he does have his axe up, he moves slower. So you can pretty much just play like his Huntress until he throws it. And then once he throws it, he moves a bit faster until he summons it again. Security doors can be used to reveal the killer's aura to the whole team when looking at him through one. He can disable the cameras by hitting them with his axe, but he won't know which one you were using to see him. So if you're in a door and you're watching him, and you watch him for like a few seconds, it will reveal, until you stop watching him or he disables the camera, it will reveal his aura to the entire team. So good, like, it can be a pretty legit strategy. I don't do it very often, but I think good teams can take advantage of the security doors. And yeah, he can disable the camera, but he won't know which door you're using to look at him through. And last but not least, definitely not least, because she's the newest and also was extremely overpowered upon release, and a lot of people say, well, what the hell do I do against this killer? Even now, I think she's, a quick opinion, just because she's so new and I think she's still being balanced, I think she's in a pretty good spot right now. Like, I don't know if that's a hot take. I think that they've done a pretty good job. Like, I think we did a pretty good job so far. I just did the meme. But I think she's in a pretty good spot. Like, I don't know. I actually like fighting her. But yeah, so the main tips are watch your pathing and hug loops tightly to make up for her slightly increased speed while in head form. So she moves a little bit faster at all times, but she can't get bloodlust. So you got to make sure you hug those corners and you just, take advantage of the fact that you have a smaller hitbox, because she'll catch up to you a bit faster than you expect. Baiting her whip can be consistent against newer killers, since she gets mostly locked in one direction when dashing. So she has a little like lunge or dash attack, but she can't turn very much when she does it. So if the killer's good, it's probably not going to work. But against like a newer player who's not as good at the game or as experienced, you can do little 360s and little baits and little fakes. And it should work with pretty good consistency. But if they're good at the game, then it's not really going to work. Avoid her projectile for as long as possible by pre-running to delay the infection. So the thing is, like, basically, whenever she switches from her head mode into her body form, she slows down. It takes a long time before she can do anything. But when she switches from her body form into her head form, it's instant. It's basically almost instantaneous. She doesn't slow down. She can almost immediately hit you after doing it. So the best thing you can do is, if she's in her body form, just pre-run. Stay away from any walls or objects that she can bounce the spit off of to hit you more consistently. Because it's a lot harder to hit the projectile if you have to get a direct hit, but the projectile will bounce off of walls. So try to stay away from any kind of walls or objects that she can easily bounce off of. And it also doesn't have that much range either. So it's hard for her to hit you when you're far away. And the longer that you can delay the infection, the longer that you can keep her out of her much more deadly and effective head form. Two strong vaults next to each other, such as double pallets or shack, can force her out of her head form to break the pallet. So if you have any really good pallets, use them for as long and as well as you possibly can, and try to force her out of her head form. Because again, every time that she leaves her head form, she slows down a lot. She has a long period before she can do anything. So she gets punished a lot for leaving her head form. So try to do that whenever possible. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. And please, again, like, subscribe, comment, hype the video, hit the bell, share it with all your friends, and I will see you in the next one.